Do you feel that the choices we're facing are very important to be consciously made, in that some people say no choice made is a choice itself?
Oh,
to
sure.
do nothing at all is...
Sure, of course, yeah. And this is really a place where I think, you know, I don't like the word consumer, but, you know, customers of food,
yes.
or however, you know.
All of us who eat.
All of us who eat, yeah. It's really where all of us who eat really have the control for this in our hands. Mm-hmm. And if we elect not to become involved, we've voted.
We've opted out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think again, one of the really exciting things that are happening in a small scale in this country is that producers and consumers are networking with one another. Mm-hmm. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, just down the road from us, there is a organization called the Minnesota Food Association, which consists of you know, urban dwellers and farmers who get together around the issue of food. Mm-hmm. And some very exciting things happening out of that. There's a very natural connection there. One of the people who's in a leadership position in that organization says that one of the reasons that natural connection is there is because people in the city are still close enough to their agricultural roots, yes, that they want to be in touch with that. And he said, the way he puts it is that they don't want to get their hands dirty, but they want to shake the hands of someone that does. That, I think those dialogues need to happen across this country, because in the last analysis, whether or not farmers survive in our society in any numbers is, you know, is not a, as far as farmers are concerned, is not a big issue. I mean, nobody guarantees anybody any particular kind of career. But if we move to a point where we have, you know, all of the food production systems concentrated in the hands of very few people, then consumers lose control of the food on their tables, and that's an issue that should concern all of us.
And does. I recently read a reference to organic farmers and organic non-farmers, and I had not heard the phrase organic non-farmer, and I thought, what do they mean by that? But they meant exactly what you're talking about, people who want that kind of food but aren't involved directly in raising it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there are little new business relationships taking place in various places in the country. It's not any big movement, but it's happening here and there, and that is where a group of urban people will adopt a farm. And they actually make a commitment in the form of writing out a check to the farmer for a percentage of food that they will buy from the farm. And if the farmer happens to have a crop failure, you know, they take the loss together with the farmer. And if the farmer has a big success, then they get extra bonuses in food beyond what they bought, and share in the profits. And those are some interesting ideas, some interesting concepts that you know, that I think are very intriguing and point to a new kind of future that's very hopeful.
It's something that could be personally done, and all of us feel, I think, sometimes frustration that we can't do something on a very immediate level. What kind of crops would be involved in something like that? Berries, garden produce, or
not
the
they're different. They're different models. It usually takes place in produce farms, truck farms, but the way most of these programs work, as I understand, or these arrangements, is that you know, the consumers actually participate in helping to make the decisions as to what the farmer's going to plant in terms of what they would like to have, and you know, assuming that it's compatible with the ecosystem in which that's being produced. So again, it's a shared planning of what the farmer's going to produce, and sharing in the,
more involved than just writing out a check and handing it over,
right,
and either reaping the proceeds or not.
Yeah.
I think that I would like, in winding up our talk today, to ask you what you'd like to say to people who might be viewing this 20 years from now, or check it out of the library 50 years from now. What would you like them to be doing, or what message would you like to give them?
Well, I guess you know, I would hope that 20 years from now that we will have rethought our attitudes toward food and consequently toward the planet. I'm afraid that our attitude toward food, as we have become more and more removed from the source of food, from the land and from the production systems, has become very sterile. You know, you go to the supermarket and buy a gallon of milk, and you expect you can always go back and there'll be another gallon of milk there, and that's sort of where it stops. And I think that's a tremendous loss to our society, culturally as well as from a point of view of economics or production. You know, in that sense, urban people are culturally deprived.
Yes, even the wealthy ones.
And I would hope that either through new structures of agriculture, we can get a larger percentage of our population back on the land and back onto the farms. From my point of view, that would be ideal. That may be naive. Maybe that won't happen. If it doesn't happen, then I would hope that as a society and through the networking between farmers and urban people and rural people, we can develop some of these other models of either you know, cooperative co-op sharing of a farm, or I don't know. You know, when you think of new social structures or try to anticipate new social structures, they're probably always going to be different than the one that you fantasize. But whatever the concrete models are, I do think that there is an interest, a growing interest in our society for people to take control of their lives again and be involved in the things that really affect them again, and that includes food. And so I'm very hopeful about that. I'm a populist. I have a lot of confidence in the average citizen, and
an optimist.
Yes, yeah. And I think what's happened in Eastern Europe this past year is simply a symbol of something that's happening globally, and I think we'll see some of that affecting this nation as well.
Yes, and as you were saying, that's something we couldn't have predicted, just like you can't predict what social models we can do in the future. We couldn't have predicted that. The only paper that I brought along that I wanted to ask you about is something called Switching to a Sustainable System, which you wrote, and which is at the National Agricultural Library. Do you still feel that this is really a relevant document with good advice to offer people who are...
Yeah, I think the basic advice in there, I think, is still sound. There are some details in it that I guess I would change if I were to write a new edition of it.
But nothing particularly major?
No, I think the basic principles are sound.
Well, I think that it's one of the documents that we turn back to, or we consult when people write us or call us at the National Agricultural Library. And do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I very much enjoyed chatting with you. I think I think one of the exciting things about our future is that we are growing out of the notion that agriculture, for example, is this isolated discipline that you know, people are involved in, and I think that's very healthy. You know, none of us are experts in the old sense of the word about anything that's happening in our society, and so as we can share information and learn from one another, I think we can develop a future that our children can be happy and proud of.
I would hope so, and I think that if it happens, and I hope it does, that it will be due to people like you who are willing to share some time away from their wheat field. I hope you get back to your 200 acres before it rains and before it's past harvest time. And again, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
It's a pleasure for us. I really appreciate it.